Hi, and welcome to Deep Leadership. I'm your host, John Rennie. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about the importance of human connection. Specifically, I'm going to talk about something I do every day to connect with my team and why you should do it too. Are you ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Welcome to Deep Leadership. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former Cold War submarine officer who spent 20 plus years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Are you ready for some real-world actionable advice from John as well as his expert guests?
I'm ready.
The show starts right now.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Deep Leadership Podcast. Today we're going to talk about some practical advice on how you can better connect with your team. If you've read my book or listened to this podcast, you know I'd like to say leadership is a people business. So what does that look like? Well, in this podcast, I'm going to share something I do every day to make people a priority. But before we dive into this, I wanted to share a little personal insight. One of the questions I get a lot when I'm interviewed on other podcasts is, why did I start writing on leadership? I mean, being the co-founder and CEO of a startup manufacturing business is a lot of work. I don't really have a lot of free time. So why is this so important to me? Why do I spend time writing articles, recording a podcast like this? Why is this important to me? Well, to be honest, my plan for life changed radically when I decided to start my business. I had planned to work in corporate America until I was 55. I thought I would work till I'm 55, then I would leave corporate America, go to some university somewhere and teach leadership and business to graduate students. I wanted to help train the next generation of leaders. I wanted to share what I had learned. But as you know, life doesn't always go the way you planned. At 48, I had the opportunity to start my own manufacturing business with two of my closest friends. We all left corporate America to build a business that would compete directly against some of the biggest brands in the industry, or at least in my industry. And this has been, quite frankly, the greatest challenge in my life, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But I really still had that desire to teach. I still wanted to share what I had learned throughout my career and what I'm still learning. So I started writing a blog probably now about 6 years ago, and I got a chance to write for several leadership websites and several different types of websites. I published a book, and now I've added podcasting to the mix as well. And the other thing is I get to teach as well. So I guest lecture at several universities, mostly to the graduate level, from time to time, which keeps my, kind of toe in the door with teaching. And I absolutely love interacting with the students, especially ones that are, really without a lot of real world experience. And they get to hear from someone like me who's been in the business a long time, in the business of leadership. So the purpose of my writing and teaching is to share what I've learned to help the next generation of leaders. So more specifically, I want to build a world with better bosses. I have seen a lot of bad bosses in my past 30 years, and I really hope that I can help change that. So that's why I do what I do. And I hope that if you're listening and following me, you believe this as well. We want a world with better bosses. So a lot of what I teach and write about leadership, I share on Twitter. So if you're not following me, you probably should. I find Twitter is an amazing platform. I know there's a lot of bad things that are said about social media, but for me, I think Twitter can be used as a great tool. And I think it's a great platform for back and forth discussions. And I'm learning a lot from the people that follow me and those that I follow. So I think it's a great place to interact. So reach out to me on Twitter at John S. Rennie, and that's John with no H, and let's talk about leadership. So let's move into today's topic. So today's topic is human connection. So one of my pet peeves is managers who stay isolated. So I call these guys the absent managers. So it bothers me when I hear stories about bosses who just stay in their office or they spend their days just in meetings in a conference room somewhere, but just not dealing with their people. They never get out to see their employees. Their teams never see them, and they just think that these managers don't care. And, the truth is they probably could be good leaders. They could be good managers, but the employees don't know because they've never seen them. They're never around, right? So they're off somewhere else doing something else. And I understand it, right? I know what it means to be busy. As the co-founder and CEO of a startup manufacturing business, I'm swamped. I'm the head of sales, the HR manager, the CFO, the operations manager, pretty much. I also clean the bathrooms if they need to be cleaned, right? I'm doing everything. I wear many hats. I work long hours, and I'm as busy as the next guy. But, I practice what I preach. I get out of my office. I go out on the shop floor. I walk around our offices. I want to see what's going on with our employees. And in fact, when we're busy, I jump on the production line from time to time. I actually can do everything in the plant except do the electrical testing. That seems a little dangerous to me, so I stay away from that. But the point is that I get out of my office. I spend time with my employees when I can, but it's difficult. But today I wanted to talk to you about something I do that's very specific that I do to make connections every day and to make it a routine. And this is really a simple thing you can do as well. This is something I do to make sure that we stay connected as people in our company, and we stay connected as a workforce, as a company. So this takes about 15 minutes a day, and it's the most important thing we do every morning. It's our stand-up meeting. Now, before you tune out and tell me how much a waste of time meetings are, let me tell you that I hate meetings as well. In fact, what I've found is that having a daily stand-up meeting actually prevents us from having to have other meetings throughout the day. So if you're skeptical, hold on, because I think you're going to become a believer once I've made my case. So what is a stand-up meeting? What is a morning stand-up meeting? Well, for us, we meet in the factory at 8:30 in front of a giant whiteboard, and written on the whiteboard are all of our current orders. The meeting starts out with a briefing from our production manager on all the jobs that we're going to work on that day. We also discuss what major shipments are coming in from our vendors and what major shipments have to leave during the day, so we all kind of know what's happening. Then we go around the room, and everyone has a chance to add anything that's important to the team. So it might be part shortages, quality updates, customer questions, product changes, field issues. Anything that's important gets brought up in that morning meeting. Also, people issues. Who's absent, who's traveling, who's leaving early, who has vacation later that week. We get to understand who's there. In fact, we actually have a calendar underneath the whiteboard which has everybody's vacation plans, so we know who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. So we also allow time for questions, clarification, and to resolve any conflicting priorities. So everybody's on the same page. Then I give a quick update on what's coming up in the future. So what are the big orders that we expect coming in? Are we having any visitors? What's the status on landing new business? What's my travel schedule? So everybody gets a feel for what's coming up in the future. And then once that's discussed, I wrap up the meeting by saying, okay, have a good day and be safe. Now, it's funny. If you're old enough to remember the 80s TV police show, Hill Street Blues, that final saying might sound familiar. If you remember in that show, they had a daily briefing as well, a daily meeting as well. And at the end of every briefing, when the people were starting to leave, when all the police officers were starting to leave, the precinct sergeant would interrupt everybody and say, hey, let's be careful out there. Well, it's the same concept, and I may have borrowed it from that show. But I say, okay, have a good day, and let's be safe. So that's it. The whole meeting takes about 15 minutes, and in that time, we get a lot of things resolved. So you might be thinking, okay, well, how does this meeting help with human connection? How does 15 minutes in the morning help us be more connected as a team? Well, that answer and more is coming up right after this break.
Thanks for listening to Deep Leadership. We'll be right back after a brief intermission.
Hey, leaders. If you're anything like me, you drink coffee to power you through the morning. But what about in the afternoons? For me, I start getting sleepy and unfocused around 2 p.m. So I've tried a bunch of different things to try to get me recharged and refocused. I've tried energy drinks. I've tried that stuff that's supposed to last 5 hours. Most were expensive and caused you to crash later in the afternoon. I was introduced to a new product from a fellow veteran. He told me to try Strikeforce Energy. Strikeforce is a veteran-owned company founded by a Navy SEAL, and their products are all made in the USA. Strikeforce Energy is a liquid flavor pack that you can add into any beverage. It has 0 calories, 0 carbs, and 0 sugar. Each pack contains 80 milligrams of caffeine. I actually add 2 packs to a liter of water in the afternoon. I get my water, my energy, and the great taste of Strikeforce Energy throughout the afternoon. I personally prefer the original flavor, although the other flavors are pretty good as well. Lemon I like as well. Strikeforce Energy is offering a discount to all the listeners of the Deep Leadership Podcast. Go to strikeforceenergy.com and enter the discount code I have the watch. And that's one word, I have the watch, for a 20% discount on your order. So that's strikeforceenergy.com and enter the discount code I have the watch, one word, I have the watch, for a 20% discount on your order. Strikeforce Energy, fuel for your fight. And we're back. So I shared the process of our stand-up meeting. So let me tell you why it's so important to us and how it helps us stay connected as a team. First off, there's an important personal connection every morning for us. You know, a lot of us we come a little early for the meeting so we can just see how each other is doing. It's almost like a family gathering around a breakfast table. So we catch up, we talk about our weekend activities, current events, we ask about family. We know who's there, who isn't there. We sense each other's moods. We know who's not feeling well, who's fired up for the day. We know who's worried about something. Every morning we build relationships with each other. We're acting more as a family than a company. We're looking out for each other and we're checking in with each other. That's really kind of one of the most important things that happens during that morning stand-up meeting. Next, we get to get everybody on the same page, right? At the end of the meeting, we all know what needs to get done and we know our role in it. We've had a chance to air our worries and our concerns. We can resolve any conflicts. We understand the priorities. We know who's here, who isn't here. We know the major events that'll happen throughout the day, and we know our role in it. We have focus. We have clarity. We have a plan for the day. Very, very important. Next, we have a picture of the future, so we know who's going to be out, who's taking vacation, who's potentially sick. We know when customers are coming in. We know when to expect the next big order. We can set our daily priorities knowing what's going to happen or what's likely going to happen in the next few weeks. The next and probably the most important thing about the morning stand-up meeting, for me at least, is I get a chance to reinforce our missions and values. For me, every discussion gives me the opportunity to reinforce our mission. So for me, at our company, our mission is to be a different kind of supplier, which means we do the opposite of our large competitors. We ship our products faster. We're easier to do business with. If there's a problem in the field, we take care of the customers quickly without any arguing. We are a different kind of supplier. So these stand-up meetings help me reinforce our mission every day. Let me give you an example. So purchasing might say, oh, we have a part shortages. Should I expedite it? Should I fly that part in? And my answer almost always is yes. We're a different kind of supplier. We take care of our customers. Maybe the big guys would say, no, save money, don't bring it in. We're different. We're going to bring it in, we're going to take care of it, and we're going to get that product shipped out quickly. You know, like even just ending the meeting, I say be safe. Well, one of our major priorities is safety of our employees. We want everyone to go home in the same way that they came into the office. We don't want anyone to get hurt, so we reinforce safety in that meeting. So these daily discussions, this daily stand-up meeting, helps me reinforce our values and our missions as an organization. So finally, these meetings help set the tone, the pace, the routine. It becomes standard. Everyone gets used to it. Personally, I look forward to this meeting every day because I know I will come away with all the answers I need for the day. I know everyone's going to be there, so I don't have to have any other meetings. I bring all my questions, all my issues right there, and I get them all clarified at one time, and so does everybody else as well. These meetings, having them regular, sets a cadence for the business. We all know we're going to have a personal connection every morning. We're all going to get on the same page every morning. We're going to reinforce our mission every morning. It's part of a routine, a pace. It sets the tone. And I like this quote from Hilton Barber. Actually, he just sent that to me on Twitter this morning. He was talking about how he brings in like a treat for all of his employees every Friday. He says it's just a routine. And he said this, and I really like this quote. He said, "Small rituals make a culture." And really, the stand-up meeting for us, having that morning meeting, having a regular routine, it is a small ritual that is setting the culture for our business. So now, you can get a good feel for why I feel this is so important, why I think every company should be doing it. But you just think about all the other companies that are out there, right? And so maybe a company you're working for today and the companies I've worked for in the past. So everybody comes into work and they typically go straight to their cubicle, straight to their office, and they just turn on their computer and they start banging out emails, working on their to-do list, and everybody is disconnected in their own separate worlds, doing their own separate things. And the only way we get connected with each other is either through emails, right? Which, as we know, words are different than actually face-to-face, discussion. So either emails, or we go in these meetings that just last forever and ever and ever, and we never get, and we just never get anything done. They just talk and talk and talk. So there's no real personal connection. People aren't getting on the same page. Everybody's just doing their own thing. And that is super frustrating for employees. It's one of the reasons why so many employees are disconnected, because they don't feel that bond, that personal connection. And so I feel very strongly about having that daily stand-up meeting where everybody gets on the same page, everybody gets a chance to connect, and we all know what our role is in the organization that day. So if you like this actionable idea, then do it, take it, steal it. I mean, that's what the purpose of me creating this podcast is, to give you some ideas that you can try. In fact, I've put about 23 ideas, or there's 23 short stories in my latest book. The latest book's called I Have the Watch, Becoming a Leader Worth Following. And I filled it with 23 short stories like this one, just to help you be a more effective leader. So go to ihavethewatch.com and you can pick up my book. In fact, actually, let everybody know, all my listeners know, that we are now been on the Amazon bestseller list for 8 months in a row. We just crossed into 8 months. And to thank the listeners of this podcast, I'll actually offer a discount to all the listeners. So go to ihavethewatch.com and enter Deep Leadership. That's one word, Deep Leadership, at checkout to get 20% off your order. And as always on my website, domestic shipping is free. So that's it today. Think about this topic this week. Think about a stand-up meeting and, think about your organization. Do you regularly meet with your team? Do you have a daily process to get everybody on the same page? Do you have a way to reinforce your mission and value every day? And if you are thinking about starting up a meeting and you have further questions, reach out to me on Twitter. That's John S. Rennie, John with no H. So if you like this podcast, please subscribe and share so we can continue to build a world with better bosses. Until next time, this is John Rennie saying take care and lead well.
Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, please visit our website at www.deepleadershippodcast.com or johnsrennie.com. Until next time, take care.